The Power City Core is live, and in this video, I'm joined by one of the founders and well-known community Galaxy Brain, Mr. Just Ask Jesse. So with no further ado, let me bring him up and get the party started.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. The core dropped yesterday. It's hot off the press. The community is excited. Lots of questions, lots of buzz going around. Let's just start with the basics about the core. What is it and what's it doing for Power City in the ecosystem?
Absolutely. So it's been a long time coming. We're excited to start rolling these things out for the community to start using. We've got a whole bunch of stuff that's been built, and we're going to space all these things out over a period of several weeks. All right. So the first thing that we dropped, of course, was PortalXSwap.io. Cross-chain bridge and DEX aggregator. That's live. It works on 64 different blockchains, so you can swap from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. And we're also adding to that. We're integrating in Pulse Ramp and some other cool things into there. So it's just more and more effective. All right, that was the first thing to drop. What we just dropped yesterday was our core central staking platform, and that's we call it the core, and that's where you can stake and participate in the fee revenue. Remember that term that we like to use around here, revenue over inflation. You can participate into staking in there, and you can collect all the fees from all the various protocols that we're releasing out. We'll go through how that works here in a little bit. We're excited to have that main piece out as of yesterday, and we'll cover that shortly.
Yeah, like we said, PortalX came out, and if people aren't using that, that's a cross-chain DEX aggregator. You can get from over 60 chains at the moment, and we're always adding to that. And now the core's out. It's great. We're just ticking off these dApps, which are going to be huge utilities to, you know, the whole Pulse chain ecosystem. So yeah, lots of people in the chat excited. So people talking about looking good. So yeah, the UI, as you can see with the core, we have the light mode and the dark mode, depending on your preference. Also, we have other stuff in there as well. There's the PLP. There's the zapper function as well.
Yeah. So basically, here's how the core works. So all of our protocols have some sort of fee generation. They're services. They're tools that people want to use, right? So if you want to use an aggregator that's going to find you the best route from one place to another, you're going to pay a small service fee. That fee could be paid in any number of tokens. And where did those route? They route straight into Pulse Chain, straight into PLS, hopefully doing some positive things for the performance of Pulse Chain, but then they land right in the hands of the stakers inside the core. All right, so that's one example, PortalX. You've got Earn Protocol, which is the stablecoin lending platform. It has its own fee structure, but some of those fees also flow to the core. Stakers in the core could expect to earn such things such as PXDC, Earn Token. We have an automated front end on top of Liquid Loans and Earn. We call that the amplifier. So you can see some USDL. You can see some loan tokens. You'll see Pulse. You'll see maybe some Pixel tokens. You'll see all sorts of things as a staker inside the core, because each of our platforms has some sort of service charge that people are paying when they use the tool, and those fees flow straight to the stakers. Okay, so that's kind of the broad overview of what the core is. Now, we believe in revenue over inflation, but we also believe that game theory and being early into something should have its perks. So we added in some neat features that are very similar to like how like a t-share might even work. Okay, a little bit different, but kind of like a t-share. So in the core, And I don't know if you're able to pull it up so people can look at it
Sure.
while we talk. But you're able to stake. If you're eligible to claim some tokens, when you claim those are immediately staked for you. There's no time lock. You don't have to worry. It's not like, oh, these guys are forcing me to stake. I'm stuck for 2 years. No, there's nothing like that. You're welcome to unstake if you want. Anybody is. When you claim, it just auto stakes for you. There's a perk that comes along with that, though. You get a 2x share rate bonus. So your share of the pool of the fee collection, you get a 2x on what you would be able to get if you were to have gone and purchased those tokens right out from the exchange, from PulseX, for example. You're getting a 2x share rate. But that only applies when you claim. If you were to end that stake, since you're no longer in a pool, you lose the 2x. You don't have any shares anymore. All you have is underlying Watt tokens, right? So it's a little bit interesting of a concept because since everybody gets a 2x, nobody gets a 2x until people start ending their stake. And then very rapidly, the people who are remaining staked, they start to get exponentially more share of the pool than what anybody else would ever be able to get to catch up to them, right? So not that people can't still catch up, it just would require more and more economic energy to try and get the equivalent share rate in the pool is what the early OG claim stakers have. All right. So this is what our platform looks like. A lot of people say it looks much better in dark mode. There's a convenient button down on the bottom right to put it into dark mode. You'll see the current price of Watt. You'll see the market cap, the reward pool. The reward pool is going to stay at 0 for now until you see our other protocols start rolling out. All right. We've got like, for example, Earn Protocol, which should just be a few weeks away. When that goes live, you'll also see this reward pool start growing and growing. Publicly callable function, by the way. Anybody can distribute rewards to anybody else. We tried to make this immutable so that we're not in control. There's no central counterparty risk where we have control of all the fees and stuff. No, they automatically flow into here. Anybody can call the function that distributes the rewards to all the stakers. You'll see total Watt that's locked up. You'll also see total PLP. What's a PLP token? That's a liquidity pool token. So remember when I said you get a 2x share rate on a Genesis stake, a claim stake? And it's like you're never going to get that kind of rate. Like how are you going to get that kind of rate? You can't. You can get close to it, though, if you're a liquidity provider, because our system will actually credit you for both halves of the liquidity pool tokens. So if you're an LP person and you've supplied Pulse paired to Watt, the system will recognize the value of both sides of that and credit it as if it's all Watt, and then also give you a 50% bonus on top of that to compensate you for any impermanent loss that you might incur. So it's like when we thought of this, we thought, okay, a lot of reward structures out there have to emit tokens out to people to compensate them for being liquidity providers. How do we create a system that's that has no inflation and that doesn't have just a giant pool of tokens that emits out to people forever? And what we came up with is, well, since this is a revenue-based system, you can simply give a bonus such as 50% of the fee collection to the liquidity providers. And now what you just did is you created a system that always and forever encourages liquidity providing. So you should always see people participating in that pool. There should always be some sort of at least semi-thick liquidity for people to trade, buy and sell with, because there's always some sort of incentive, some sort of bonus for people to go provide that liquidity. The volume on the Watt trading is quite amazing. I think the volume was over $1 million over the first 24 hours. So there is quite a bit of buys and sells. The liquidity depth has ranged anywhere between, we'll say 200 and 400,000 on both halves, if you count both halves of the pool. And it kind of bounces around. Maybe that'll grow. We don't know. This is a community-owned protocol at this point, so go check that out.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on what you were talking about earlier in regards to stakes, because you know, like you said, if you do unstake your position, it's going to be harder to get that same position again. And I think a unique feature about the core is that you can your stakes are represented by an NFT, and you can send that to another address. So maybe to another address you control, or maybe transfer ownership to someone else, or even sell your stake without even having to unstake. That's a very good feature, isn't it?
Correct. So yeah, so if you think of it this way, right? What other staking type tokens may be lacking is a way to transfer a stake from one wallet to another. There's many reasons why you might want to do that. What if you're compromised, right? What if you were in some sort of relationship where two parties had access, and now you needed to move the stake because you're no longer, together or something? What if you accidentally visited a site that compromised you somehow, right? There's all sorts of reasons. Maybe you just want to move it. Maybe you're the sort of person who just picked up a hardware device, and you say, now it's time for me to get into safer habits of securing my seed phrase. But now I'd like to move my assets from my soft wallet to my hard wallet. Okay. So we feel it's important to be able to move stakes. So every stake inside of the core is completely transferable. And what that also allows is for people to list these stakes on secondary marketplaces. They can list them on NFT platforms for whatever value they'd like to try and sell them at, right? Now, you can imagine a stake contains some things inside of it. A stake contains some Watt tokens, which have a real world right now value that you can trade for them on a DEX. Okay. So I would expect that the minimum you would see a stake being sold for is what the underlying Watt inside is worth. But a stake may be worth more to somebody than just the Watt inside. Perhaps there's some accumulated rewards that weren't claimed yet. Maybe there's a cool JPEG attached that people really like, or it's got a tier NFT that people are trying to get to, and they just like it, right? So they're willing to pay more. What if the number is special to somebody? What if it's stake number 10, stake number 100, stake number 1,000, and for some reason people want those numbers, right? So people can sell these things for whatever they want to in a secondary marketplace. Now, I don't want to confuse people. I don't want people to always assume that reduces sell pressure, because you'll hear that in the community. Selling stakes on a secondary marketplace will reduce sell pressure, absolutely. But you know what? It's also reduced buy pressure, because somebody's not going to buy those Watt. They're just buying them essentially like OTC directly from somebody else on an NFT marketplace. So it does go both ways on that. But the important part is the choices are there. You can move these things, you can sell them, transfer them, you can merge them together. You can end those stakes and forfeit all the amps that are inside. Give up your share of the pool and just have the Watt. The choices are limitless And it's important that you have all those choices to do what you want to do with your assets.
Jesse, let's touch on amp shares as well. What are amp shares in the core?
So an amp share is basically your share ownership of the pool. So the only amps that are ever in existence is 2 times the watt in existence. So it's like the more amps that you have and that are staked, like you get a bigger percentage of the pool. You get a bigger piece of the pie of the fee collection.
Bob's got a question. I think he's being confused with the rewards and LP rewards. So with the rewards on hold for now, which he's talking about the core, are early LP providers accumulating in the background?
Okay, so the rewards on hold. So LP providers are always going to earn the fees from the trading that occurs on PulseX. There's like that always happens, right? So if you were to ever withdraw your LP, you'll see that your token quantities are different. You'll have some more of one token, less of another, or vice versa. But you'll also have some accumulated fees that you've earned. That never changes. Now, in regards to the rewards from the fees are not, they're literally not flowing at this moment, right? So when we turn on or we deploy earn, for example, if you've positioned yourself already as an LP provider, at that point, the system just knows that you have the amp share that you're looking at, by the way. If you're staking your PLP, you'll see your amp shares. You'll see your watt equivalent. At that point, you're starting to collect that. But you're not collecting anything right now because there's nothing flowing right
now. Talking about earn, Miles says ETA on earn.
Yep. So it's on testnet. You can all go play with it. I believe that it should be another 2 to 4 weeks. We're really around the corner from the holiday season. So the plan is amplifier between now and the end of the year. So you go play with that on testnet and get familiar with that, the automated front end. And then after the holiday season, when everybody's focused again, then we'll go ahead and release Earn Protocol to the wild for you all to participate with that on mainnet. But you can use it on testnet right now. Get yourself familiar. Earn.powercity.io.
Yeah, you can go in there. You can open a vault. You can go be a stability provider. You can go into the earn staking pool. You can look at the risky vaults. So yeah, it's already there and coming soon in the new year. LV has put a good statement here, which I think we touched on earlier, but it's good to reiterate this. 2 times more watt needs to be staked to match the AMP allocation of a claim stake. Can you elucidate on that for us, Jesse?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say that you go in and you claim and stake, right? You have an eligible wallet. You say, oh, cool, I have an eligible wallet. Let me click this claim and stake. It's going to give you your watt staked, and you're going to have an amp share that's 2 times the watt. If you decide that you want to end that stake, but then you change your mind and you say, I want to create that stake again. Well, you're going to have to go buy 2 times the amount of watt to get the same share rate back because you just nuked your stake.
So it's always going to be more expensive to get the same position later down the road, right?
Correct.
Great. Reese has put here, there's been some talk about NFTs in the chat. The image you have on your core NFT is based on the metadata. You have a badge and an image. There are 12 badges and 144 images to increase your amp to rank up your badge. So this is based on what image you'll get, and depending on what rank tier you're at, there's a different image. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. So some people want to get to the highest tier and the coolest JPEG, which I don't even know what it looks like. Our artists know what it looks like. Maybe there'll be a list released so everybody knows what they're working towards. I don't know, But there are some people that just want to keep climbing that tier rank and get to the highest one. That's also answers MB's question. What's the potential benefits for merging NFTs? Well, that might be one. You might want to be climbing the tiers for some reason. Maybe there's a particular JPEG that people like, or might catch a premium over on an NFT marketplace or something, and you might want to merge some stakes for that. Maybe you just have too many. Maybe you've got 500 stakes and you're sick of scrolling with your mouse wheel for 5 minutes looking at all your stakes, and you just want to combine some of them. You're welcome to do that. You have to know that once you merge stakes, you can't unmerge. Okay, it's like you got to end that stake. You can't split them back up again. Once they're merged together, that's it. Those two are forever married together.
So you can merge stakes, you can add to a stake, but you can't split them up. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Fantastic. We've got a question here: how to transfer your NFT. I just dropped a video on that yesterday. I'm going to put the link in the chat now. So that's very simple. It's like sending a token or any coin. I've put that in the chat and you can see that down there. So we've also got some questions on the potential benefits of merging NFTs. And that would obviously, like we talked about just now, right? It's easier to manage than having like 5, 10, 100 different stakes.
Yep. Some people want to merge some for various reasons. Other people will choose to have separate stakes for some sort of ladder reason, really because they want to sell at some point, and without having to end a stake and end the entire amp share that a stake has behind it. They can just end one little stake over here and sell that. So really the people with a whole bunch of stakes, they're probably like dumpers or like ladder sellers. Yeah. Always remember, when you end a stake, those amp shares, you may not be able to get that share rate back again. Just remember that.
Yeah. So how will that work? For example, you could sell a stake on Pixel Park, right? Or you could just transfer it directly to someone else. What would you say the benefits of doing it like an OTC deal, or doing it on somewhere like Pixel Park?
Well, don't OTC to anybody unless like you know exactly what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Right. But so if you wanted to sell a stake, what do? Well, you can end it, claim all the rewards. By the way, anytime you can claim your rewards out of there without ending a stake. So if you've been collecting Pulse, you've been collecting USDL and PXDC and whatever else is coming your way to that stake, those fees that you're accumulating, you can claim those at any time. Remember, publicly callable function for the distribution of those. But then you as an individual will, like you want to claim those from time to time, so you can do whatever you want to do with them. When you end your stake, of course, that stake no longer exists. You're not collecting those fees anymore. And those amps are gone. You don't you're not in the pool anymore. So you're not collecting those fees. Now, when you end a stake, now you have those watt that are inside though. You can go sell those if you want. Now, the alternative to doing an end stake is you just say, well, instead of ending a stake, I already know it's got this many watt inside. I already know it's this tier. So maybe I'll put a 5% premium on this thing. Or, hey, this thing is a Genesis stake. It's got 2 times the shares as anybody else will be able to get for the same quantity of watt, right? So let's just pretend your stake, the watt inside is worth $10. But it's a Genesis stake. So it would cost $20 for somebody to go buy that much watt to get the same share in the pool. Well, would you end that stake if you needed the money or wanted the money? Would you end that stake and just be able to sell the $10 worth of watt? Or would you say to yourself, well, maybe this thing will sell for between 10 and 20 because somebody else would like to pay me probably $15 knowing that they're getting a $20 position in the share rate, right? So they can just take their stake, throw it up on an NFT marketplace, list it at a premium for what its watt inside is worth. Somebody else buys it, knowing that they're getting a Genesis stake that they would have had to pay way more to get that same size in the pool, right? So that's just an example, not financial advice, just an example of why people might want to sell something on a secondary marketplace as opposed to ending a stake.
Gotcha. We touched on this already, but for people just joining the stream, when will we see rewards?
When the other protocols start launching, right? Those, like the moment we launch those fees, those are immutable protocols, by the way. Earn protocol is an example. Like we can't change it. When we release that, the fees start flowing all by themselves. So a few weeks.
Cool. If you merge Genesis NFTs, the AMP share doesn't change, right? This is a question.
The amp share of they add together. So
Yeah.
you've got this many amps in the stake number 1, this many amps in stake number 2. You're going to merge those together, and it's simply going to add those amps together.
Yeah. And I think people have been answering this already, but just for people that haven't seen their answers, if you add watt to your Genesis stake, do you keep your 2x AMP share rate?
Yes, you do. Yes, but the new watt that you're adding won't have 2x. Or again, you're just simply adding whatever the current rate is. You're just adding that to your already pretty cool 2x amp share rate. It's not like, hey, I'm going to go buy some watt and add it, and that's all going to get a 2x on it, like what you buy today. No, they're just going to add the current to what you already have in there, which is a 2x.
Gab9 is asking, do you plan to bring stats on the dashboard of total AMP available?
That's been brought to the attention of us and then to the devs. So we got a lot of things we're working on that's on the list. And also anybody can build a dashboard. Like the stats, it would be cool to have like a website that has all sorts of different data people can drill down into. So if there's any devs out there willing to build some cool tools, give it a crack.
Let's go. Ven asks, why is my NFT picture not showing in my MetaMask? You have to import it first. So there's a video on our Twitter and our YouTube on how to import that. But basically the steps are going to the utilities page, copying the contract address, then going to your MetaMask, going to import NFT, and then putting that in and also the stake number, and it should pop up in your MetaMask. We have RH Max in the house. Let's also talk about some of the other utilities, because obviously the POWERCITY Core is the main staking platform where stakers are going to get, a cut of the fees, which is great. But also there are other utilities in the core. Let's talk about the zapper function for a bit.
Yep. Scroll up to the top there and go to the tab that says utilities.
Yeah.
And okay. Actually, we skipped right over the stakes tab. I don't know if you have anything in there, if we just want to show that real quick.
So this is where you can create a stake very easily. If you have watt or PLP, you can come in here and toggle between PLP or watt, put in a certain amount, let's say 100 watt, approve that in your wallet, and then also once after that's been approved, then you do another transaction and you can stake that.
So pretty easy. You don't have any stakes at the moment, otherwise it wouldn't be blinking like that, but it's doing what it is because you don't have any stakes. That's cool. All right, go to utilities. All right, so there's some tools out there that we thought would just be useful for people. So wrapped pulse, we have a wrapper unwrapper tool right here. When you are accumulating rewards, for example, you're going to be getting wrapped pulse. And you may wish to unwrap that and have regular pulse native coin in your wallet, right? So there you go. We've got an unwrapper tool in case you want to do that with your pulse.
So you can toggle between wrap pulse or unwrap pulse.
We've got scroll down a little bit. The PulseX pairs. Okay, you can add these things to your MetaMask. You've got Watt, you've got PLP, you've got other assets such as Loan Token, PulseX, USDO.
So these are basically shortcuts, right? Just to add to someone's
basically
MetaMask.
shortcuts, right? So sometimes, when you're in a DApp and you're like, oh, I know I got these tokens, but I'm not seeing them in my wallet. And it's sometimes there's no easy way. Sometimes you got to jump over to the block explorer and you got to get the contract number and all this and that to import it to MetaMask so you can see your tokens. That's a big pain. So we created this tool where you can just click and it adds these tokens straight to your MetaMask. So if you have them in your wallet, you just see them. It's really easy.
Also, while we're here, let me just give a quick demo on how to import your NFT. You'd come down to here. You'd click that to copy the contract address. You'd then go to your MetaMask, go to your NFTs, scroll down, import NFT. You'd click that. You'd paste that into the address. And then, for example, if your stake was stake number 1, 2, 3, 4, just for example, you'd put that in and then you'd hit import. And that didn't import because there isn't an NFT like that. But if there was, it would import your NFT very quickly and easily.
Right. Now look at on the right. Remember I said you're going to be earning all sorts of different tokens from the fees. So Pulse, PulseX, USDO, Loan, these things. And then when Earn is released, you'll see Earn and PXDC pop up in here. When Pixel Park is released, you'll see something like Pixel Token or Bloom pop up in here. So this thing will display all the balances of your the things that you've been earning, the core assets that you've been earning. It'll show your balances.
Yeah.
Or you could just go straight to your MetaMask and see them there too.
Exactly. So we also, if we go back up, we also have the zapper function.
Yeah. So the zapper. So here's the thing. It's nice to get bonuses. So if you were to stake your Watt, you will just get the current rate. But if you stake PLP, if you stake liquidity providing tokens, you're actually going to get a 50% bonus. You're going to be credited for both halves of the LP, by the way, but you're also going to get a 50% bonus on top of that. But liquidity providing can be hard if you've never done it before. You need to understand the risks of impermanent loss. So I highly suggest people Google what is impermanent loss. But it should never be so difficult. You should be able to easily supply tokens into a pool so people can trade them back and forth. So we created this thing called the zapper. So instead of you having to go to PulseX, and by the way, import the contract numbers and do all this copy paste just so you can see the things in PulseX. It could be like a 15-minute process just to be able to start creating LP. Here we created this novel system which allows you to zap straight in some liquidity, right? All you have to have is Pulse, and you say, I want to use this many Pulse, and it's going to automatically basically take half of that value, and it's going to convert itself into Watt. So it's going to buy some Watt for you. It's going to put both of those into the liquidity pool, and it's going to return to you an LP, some LP tokens, some PLP tokens. So it's very easy. You just type in the quantity of Pulse. You click zap. It tells you how many Watt in Pulse the LP position is going to contain that you're about to make. You click zap. You sign the transaction, and done. You have PLP in your wallet. You're now a liquidity provider over on PulseX. And if you wanted to go to PulseX, you could actually just go from here to there, and you can see that you are now a liquidity provider over on PulseX because this thing is interacting directly with the PulseX LP contracts. We just made it super simple for you to become an LP liquidity provider. And why would you want to do this? because those tokens that you get back when you stake those have a 50% bonus for the share rate in the pool. You're providing a service to the community by being a liquidity provider. And in exchange, you're being rewarded. You're being compensated for any impermanent loss you might have. You're getting a bonus and the share of the fee collection. That's why you might want to use this zapper.
Yeah, I think that needs to be reiterated because number one, it's made liquidity providing simple for most people, especially who are new to crypto and DeFi. There's multiple steps, right? You need the same amount of 2 tokens, the ratios, you know, setting the different trading, you know, parameters. Here it's one click, you're a liquidity provider, you're getting those fees, and then after that you're going to get the PLP token, which is the LP token, and if you stake that, 50% bonus over just staking what alone. So that's what I call a win-win. I want to go back to a topic because Ven was asking before about the NFT not showing up in MetaMask, and Reese answered it that sometimes you might not see the NFT in MetaMask because MetaMask doesn't always display NFT images well on desktops. And that's what I found too. So if you have imported your NFT stake into your MetaMask and you can't see the image, it's definitely there, but it might not show the full JPEG, and that's due to MetaMask's issue, unfortunately, at the time.
Yeah, in particular, like Pulse Chain is not the friendliest thing for MetaMask JPEGs either. You know, MetaMask Mobile, and I'm not suggesting you go take your seed phrase and put it in mobile or anything like that. MetaMask Mobile for JPEGs, for NFT images, works great. Desktop, I don't know. It kind of sucks sometimes.
Yes, I have to agree. It can be a bit janky. So yeah, I've had that a few times with NFTs not showing up in MetaMask, but it's there. You can see, even with the core, you can see it will say AMP share or whatever. Your NFTs there, it's just the image that isn't showing. Maybe on another wallet like Trust Wallet or something, it might work, or on mobile, like Jesse said. There's some people talking about, obviously, fees. We know that the fees are on hold for now, but let's talk more about the full PowerCity ecosystem and where those fees are actually going to be coming from a bit more.
All right. So let's think about what's already out there. We got Portal X, cross-chain bridge and DEX aggregator. We've got Earn Protocol. That's the stablecoin and lending platform, which has all sorts of places you can participate inside of it. It's its own, by the way, it's its own ecosystem all by itself. There's a stability pool that you can participate in for some yield and for some reduced cost and some PulseX if there's any liquidations. There's a staking pool where fees will flow to you whenever somebody takes a loan or does a redemption. But some of the fees from that system will also flow to the core. Okay. You've got Amplifier. It's an automated front end for you to set up various auto buys and sells of various positions you might have inside of liquid loans, as well as Earn Protocol. There's fees that are scraped off of all the functions that are being run in there. Those also flow, right? So you got two amplifiers essentially. We'll call those two different dApps. You got Amplifier 1, the one for liquid loans, Amplifier 2, the one for Earn Protocol. So all those fees are going to be flowing to the core. You've got Pixel Park coming to Pulse in the near future, to Pulse Chain near you. It also has some fees. You'll see some fees flow.
Yeah, so basically all the fees from the system go to the stakers. We've got a question here from Pineapple Love. So staking is not live. Staking is live.
Staking is live. Everybody's getting their position now. They're trying to get their AMP position where they want to be on the AMP tier structure. And everything functions. That you can stake, you can end stake, you can merge stakes, you can transfer stakes, sell them on a secondary marketplace. The only thing that's not happening yet is the other protocols need to launch so that the fees start flowing.
Mm.
Now, think about this, y'all. How many other protocols have you seen where there's this one platform that no matter what the team builds in the future has more and more fees that just keep flowing to that thing, right? So at first it's the bridge index aggregator, then it's earn, then it's amplifier, then it's amplifier number 2, then it's pixel park, then it's bloom, then it's this, then it's that. The list goes on. If we build for the next 10 years and everything that we ever build has fees flowing to the core, I mean, have you ever heard of anything like that? I haven't.
Well, let's talk more about it, because LV said this here: revenue over inflation, right? And a lot of people in crypto, they're used to inflation models, right? Let's talk about the revenue model and how it's superior.
Yeah. So revenue over inflation. What does that mean? So there's so many different protocols that you might stake into something, and the thing you're earning is simply either more of itself or it's some secondary token that's just emitting out constantly on some inflation schedule. A lot of things have like a secondary token that just start emitting. And when you think, okay, those things might last for a while, but can they and do they last forever before the inflation of these things starts to harm them, do more harm than good? Okay, so how do you make something that's 100% sustainable so that every market cycle, as people are using the tools and services, the more people use it, the more fees flow. The less people use it, the less fees flow. But there are always fees that are in other tokens that people are willingly paying. They're not inflating. They're not minting themselves out of thin air. It's not inflationary based. It's literally fee based. And the participants in the staking essentially become owners of the protocol, community owned. When you hear, a lot of times you hear that phrase out there in the community, by the community, for the community. Okay. Well, what does that even mean? Like, maybe it wasn't by the community. Maybe it was by Power City for the community. Okay. Because you can participate and earn all of the different fees that people are paying simply by staking.
Yeah, it goes back to stuff that comes way before crypto, right? From the beginning of time, you get value by giving value, right? And when you mint something out of thin air, or it's just inflation on top of inflation, that can only go on for so long. But if you're providing value, like all the dApps, are already doing and will be doing for the whole Power City ecosystem, like Earn, like Amplifier, like Pixel Park, every time somebody uses that and gets value from it, they pay a small fee, and all those fees flow back into the core to the earned stakers. So that's basically the revenue model over just keep inflating, or a secondary token where, there isn't actual any value being provided in many crypto projects, where this is actually giving, whether you're using Portal Swap, you're taking a loan through Earn, you're using the Pixel Park NFT marketplace to buy and sell and trade NFTs.
Right.
People are going to be using these.
I'm familiar with a lot of different staking platforms. Olympus, Strong, Hector, Samurai, Hex, a lot of different things where you can simply stake and you're just collecting more and more and more and more and more of the same thing. And in some cases, that's perfectly fine and acceptable. Okay. It works for Bitcoin. Okay. For a long, long time, it works for Hex, and hopefully it continues to. But if you want something that's completely sustainable, that just moves with the participation in the protocols. As more people use a protocol, the more fees there are. Less people use it, the less fees that there are. And you want this thing to sustain itself year after year after year. You do a revenue over inflation model.
Yep.
But you also introduce some game theory for the early participants, like we've done with the core and the amp shares and this and that. Now you got something that can last forever.
Very exciting. Cyclone Craw X asks, where are Genesis NFTs trading?
I'm going to let somebody in the audience answer that. There are some other NFT marketplaces out there right now. I literally can't remember the name of them. And of course, our Pixel Park isn't live yet. But we have seen these stakes already displaying themselves on some other NFT marketplaces.
Okay. Kevin asks, how do you reverse your PLP stake to get your PLS and what back into your wallet?
Okay, so all you got to do is end that stake. All right. Those PLP tokens will then be liquid in your wallet. You go to PulseX, withdraw liquidity. You'll have Watt, you'll have Pulse. You're out.
Yeah, simple. Easy to get in, easy to get out. Again, for the third or fourth time, rewards aren't being pushed yet. So just be patient with that. Pepe asks, is this on Pulse Chain or the ETH network? It's on Pulse Chain. All these dApps are for the Pulse Chain ecosystem. And yeah, it looks like we're pretty much answered most questions today. So what should people do if they want to get involved in the core, Jesse?
Yeah, so first I'd say read the documents on core.powercity.io. Watch the videos. You made a ton of them. They're so useful. You just walk people through how to use each function inside of the core. Join our Telegram, t.me/PowerCityIO. And then once you're comfortable and you understand to make an educated decision, visit core.powercity.io and dive into whatever section you'd like to dive into.
Yep. I mean, like you said, watch the videos, go to our Telegram group. We've got amazing admins in there helping out all the time. The team's in there answering questions. Lots of YouTube content, stuff on our Twitter. Watch that. And then when you feel familiar with it, then you can go to the link that I've put below. And I'll link this at the bottom in the description of the video as well, too. So anyone who wants to go to those documents, they can read through those. That's all on our website, too, which is PowerCity.io. You can see more information on the core, Portal X Swap, Earn, Pixel Park, and the amplifier. So lots of information out there. And I think the Telegram is probably best to get questions answered, too, right?
Yeah, Telegram for sure. Ivan's going to be in there telling people about how the reflexivity works on a bonding curve and how it's a great feature.
He is. He is. It's a great feature. Ivan will be in there soon talking about that, I can see. So yeah, Ivan, we're gonna give you the floor in the Telegram group soon to talk about that. But thanks a lot, Jesse, for coming on. This has been good. And where can people find you on Twitter?
Well, I'm the same name, just ask Jesse. But I prefer you just go to the Telegram. That's where everybody has a good time. t.me/PowerCityIO. Go in there, have a good time, throw some memes in there, ask some questions, and learn how this thing works. There's a great community waiting for you over there.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, man. We'll be back on stream soon with some more updates for sure.
Cool. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, guys. And if you like that video, you can hit that like button, the share button, and the subscribe button for more videos, for more educational and tutorials on the Power City ecosystem. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.